Before I continue, actual adult content won't be discussed in this video. So, get out of here. Also, while Gooner Bait do exist in AI and it's something that should be discussed, that is a story for another time. That out of the way, let's begin. Sex sells. This is a statement so universal, so true everywhere, it should be the rule zero of marketing. You see it in the billboards of gambling apps in the middle of the roadway. You can see it with advertisements on TV showing attractive people using the product. And yes, you see it a lot in social media. And I have seen and heard about it a lot more than usual. Like those type of content will always be a thing. After all, sex sells. It just seems like there's a revolution because there's so much of it right now. OF models are everywhere, thirst trap profiles increase just as much, and the games that only succeeded thanks to the ridiculous amounts of Gooner Bait infects every app store in the mobile sphere. This wasn't the case back in my day, the 2010s. I have seen some people claim sex doesn't sell because it distracts the people from the product you are selling. I do think it does contribute to the repulsion somewhat, as I would ask, who will really buy a cheeseburger just because a bikini girl said so? But those are for real products. The question is, what if attention is the product? Here comes the Gooner Bait Arms Race. First, what even is Gooner Bait? In simple terms, it consists of the words gooner and bait. According to the University of ChatGPT, a gooner is while a bait is synonymous with the word lure, which lends nicely to trapping. This means a game that lures a gooner into a trap, which is the game, is Gooner Bait. In essence, you can equate Gooner Bait as a practical application of what is known in the anime sphere as fan service. Simple idea, right? It's so funny how political this subject is. But I guess it's just the nature of things. I'll rather fall off Mount Everest than discuss the political implications of a skin in League of Legends, so I'll leave that alone. Do that in the comment section. I won't delve too much with the history of Gooner games as I am a shitty YouTuber. What I will point out is that the development of these elements in games is almost directly related to the graphics at the time, which makes sense since you can't really show much in those early eras. You theoretically could, but even naked models back in like the 1980s can go in today's climate unscathed because Buga buga katsi buba uga buga katsi problema. The 1990s and the 2000s revolutionized graphics in the same way Uranium revolutionized how we went from this to this in 2 decades. Truly the era that led us to the hyper-realistic graphics of today. The number of things you can show drastically increased. That increase in graphics, however, means that the number of themes you can show has drastically increased, which leads to covers of games like GTA began to show more of that sex sells element. Not that it matters, it's a fucking GTA game, but if you want a reference, this is the cover of GTA 3. However, realistic graphics has its own limitations. You have to be realistic, you see. I'm sorry for basement dwellers out there, but things you can see in anime, at least some of it, are impossible to portray in a realistic setting in a way that won't confuse our brain because of the uncanny valley. You could try. You will immediately sense something is wrong. To further the revolution of more skin being shown in the gaming space, the wisest thinkers at the time put one of their hands on their head and the other at the bottom of their desk. They decided to delve in the realm of anime, the perfect genre. Anime already has a fan service issue for decades by this point, so a lot of the elements are already there, just lying around. Also, anime is usually very simple to do compared to realistic graphics. Less work, more eyeballs. Anime games also don't have to be real games. You can slap cutscenes there, attached together to form a game, and it will still get clicks. Even better, you can show bigger everything, because anime is so cursed in the fact that it is barely on the top of the hills surrounding the uncanny valley. Uga Booga tolerate bigger Uga in anime games. Those factors create the Gooner gacha games we all know. Even the tamest games like Genshin have some Gooner bait elements, but at least those are manageable, and the game is, as far as I can see, mostly still a game. To set the most effective baits, let's proceed to the... Welcome to the 2020s, a combination of the pandemic that caused more demand in video games, an increased supply of games due to the increased supply of developers also caused by the pandemic, leading to more competition and better graphics has resulted in
Well, it's about time you two showed yourselves, yes? You've listened in long enough.
Before you say anything, this part wasn't me.
insane.
Then what are we waiting for?
Amount of Gooner. Bait.
Fatality. Fatality.
Welcome to the Goon Arms Race, baby. No one is safe. Every company is now trying their hardest to have their own version of Gooner Bait. If gachas can succeed with doing this while having something you can barely consider a game, it sure would work wonders if you're applying this to a real game, right? And while I don't think gacha games are solely responsible for this Gooner Bait Arms Race has infected other genres of games. But I will still mostly talk about gacha games since it's the most egregious. Let's continue. So, how is the arms race now? How can you spot a Gooner Bait game? Well, number 1, skimpy outfits. Kind of obvious, but Uga Booga Brains Inc. Booba so good. So any game that has this ridiculous amount of skin shown is obvious Gooner Bait. This still applies even if it's just implied and the character is nominally covered up. Like this. If you want to go farther, you have to move out of the West. Well, also if you get away from China and its firewall. It might be called Gooner Bait in the West, sure, especially in the purest America, but it is child's play in Japan. As stated earlier, Japan has a long history of anime fan service. Hell, most anime has it somewhere. You can consider those Gooner Bait, and I agree to some extent, but it's seemingly the norm there. It's just perspectives, I guess. Number 2. Let's just call this game physics. The game physics also facilitate the gooning of players. After all, still images are always inferior to moving ones. This is true of any type of content, but this applies better to Gooner Bait. I mean, look at that. If your hand didn't want to go under that table there, you're either a girl or you're a liar. And since 66% of my audience is male, I bet that would be liars. Fan service has popularized this significantly. I mean, it's called jiggle physics, for Christ's sake. Number 3. Stupidly buffed characters. In these games, the most powerful characters that are either the hardest to obtain or the most expensive to obtain are the hottest characters. Remember, most Gooner Baits are also gacha games, and spending money there is the feature. Even if they're not gacha games, they're still probably mobile games, which is still very notorious for having cancer microtransactions. Again, refer to the definition I had earlier. The trap here is the money pit, and it baits you by putting sexy characters in your face. And it really goes hand in hand with number 4, boring game. Well, it also goes hand in hand with the first two. It truly is Gooner Bait and nothing else if the game is not fun to play at all. Even more bonus points if the game has a lot of microtransactions and if the game tries too hard to sell you into it. Why put effort in creating a game when people already use a hand while experiencing your game? Well, I don't think this is really necessary for something to be Gooner Bait. This is the most obvious sign to me. And that's my checklist. Check the first 3 or number 4 in addition to one of the other 3 and you have a Gooner game. So, what do I think? My answer is, as long as you don't combine the unholy duo of having a child audience and showing them porn, it's a-okay. Wait, that do reminds me of something. Oops, gotta make that video now. See you next week.